Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes Mr. Mfume from Maryland.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and Ranking Member Raskin for convening this hearing. And before I go into my observations, Dr. Califf, let me go back to something that the ranking member said earlier that I don't want to get lost in all of this, and that is that maybe what we ought to be doing in addition to this is trying to find a way to create more regulatory pathways, giving the FDA the ability to do many of the things that you said you could not do here today. Dr. Califf, I'm deeply concerned about the overprescribing of ADHD medications, particularly Ritalin and Concerta, as it relates to kids in poor neighborhoods as a means of dealing with their, quote, hyperactivity in school, and that so many studies have shown that whether they're poor black, poor white, poor Latino, this overprescription seems to take place. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just don't think Humpty Dumpty fell. I think he was pushed. And so moving under that premise, I think that unless we do have greater regulations over the overprescribing of these medications, it will continue. Now, let me just flip that around to the other side. I'm also deeply concerned about children who are unable to focus on things and are given these medications and where all the protocols have been followed. And I'm concerned about that because in many instances, those drugs, unfortunately, have been part of the shortages. I'm concerned about cancer patients who are forced to delay treatment, as you know, because many of the required medications are out of stock. And so those are just a couple of things that I'm hearing from my constituents in Baltimore on a regular basis. I know that supply chains were disrupted during COVID and that there have been intermittent and sometimes not intermittent drug shortages occurring throughout the U.S. But I would be less than honest if I didn't just tell you from my perch some of the things that I hear. And I recognize you don't carry a magic wand in your back pocket. The only thing you can do is to help guide us, listen to us, and suggest to us ways that we can help you. The FDA serves as an important regulator, to say the least, and it is well positioned to assess potential supply chain disruptions. Can you tell us, and this committee, and the people around the country who may be watching these proceedings, how is FDA working now, currently, with manufacturers to mitigate the ongoing drug shortages, and have those manufacturers, in your opinion, been transparent with the FDA about potential shortages and the real root causes of those shortages?
Thank you for that. First of all, just a comment you made about the underprescribing and the overprescribing. I think it exemplifies a major problem that we have in the intersection of the responsibilities of the FDA and the practice of medicine. There is no doubt that people that need these drugs are not getting them, and people that don't need them are getting them. And that equilibrium, of course, is not set by the FDA. I'm also a physician. It's a clinical quality issue that we need to work on, and we're trying to help as best we can with that. But your main question about the manufacturers, we work every day with the manufacturers. They're required to give us certain information, but frankly, they've resisted us giving us some of the crucial information that we really need. When there is an impending shortage, we're finding that they're very cooperative to work together to try to fix it. But it'd be better if we had all the data we needed to put together predictive algorithms that would allow us to intervene preemptively much earlier and prevent the shortage. So we have a list that you all have a copy of that lists areas where the correct information would make a difference. But I also want to point out that while there's a shortage of the stimulants for ADHD, the biggest shortages are occurring in inexpensive generic drugs, where the less expensive the drug, the more likelihood of shortage because of the way the market is not succeeding in rewarding high-quality manufacturing. And that's a point I think we really need to address over the next few years.
And any guess on your part as to what factors affect non-generic drug shortages?
For non-generic drug shortages, there are really only two major types, because if not a generic drug, as we've already discussed, in general, the manufacturer's making a handsome profit once the product is on the market.
That's my point.
So they're pretty good at figuring out how to make it.
Yeah.
The exception, as I said, is Ozempic or the weight loss drugs, where the demand is just so high they haven't been able to keep up.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.